White guilt.
Let's talk about it.
All right. This one is from How Have You Felt the Sting of Racism? So, first time watching
Wait,
this...
is that their tag?
No, that's the name of our episode. Do you ever watch our episodes, Geraud?
I watch them, I comment on them, and I read all of the
no,
comments.
No, you don't
Thank you,
comment
America.
on them. Lord, getting this man to watch our videos, I tell you. Okay.
It's hard watching yourself. I'm a
No,
Leo, but
you're an
only on
actor.
the inside.
Okay. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first time watching this channel, and I liked this. Yay, thank you.
Nice. Me too.
Racism is a mental health issue. Sounds interesting.
Oh.
It requires psychiatric therapy.
Oh.
It's okay to hate everyone, then to despise and target just one. Needless to say, your experiences are horrible. I'd like to think that there's a better place where this despicable flaw does not exist. Coexistence is celebrated and has created even more colorful babies. No kidding, though we deserve our long-awaited peace. Sometimes comments are hard to read because there's like literally no punctuation. So
That was a roller coaster.
That was.
I was like, ooh, this was.
So there's a lot going on. But first of all, like, okay, what do you think about racism being a mental health issue?
A mental health issue.
I don't
No.
know. Yeah, no.
I mean,
racism, I don't think people that are racist have mental health issues. I think they have mental issues. But I wonder if she or he is saying that, like, it requires psychiatric therapy. Like, so someone that has a lot of racist things happen to them, does that take psychiatric therapy to, like, work through? Or does it take psychiatric therapy to go from being racist to not? Or does that just take education? I mean, what is that? How do we, there's so many questions I'm asking
there's
you.
a lot of questions you're throwing my way.
So I've asked you I've presented you with a lot of stuff. What are your thoughts?
Okay.
Okay.
Some of this is going to depend on what you consider a mental issue.
Okay.
Technically, all things that we go through and experience are part of our mental health, psyche, all those things, right? We can go to therapy because I don't like beets. Also, I do not like beets. Gross. But I don't need a therapist because I just don't have to eat beets, right? It's not about me getting along in the world. I think with racism, if I'm understanding the question right, you can't just be racist in a vacuum. You can't just avoid people of other races in the workplace where you are social, probably. Even these days, family. Like, this isn't, you don't get to just hide away. You have to deal with this. I know the analogy's weird, but if every place I went, there were beets presented to me and I had to eat them, I might need a therapist to help me through this because beets are gross. Right? And so there's a thing that I gotta, don't give me beets.
Okay.
Or I will have
Now
to go to
I
therapy.
know.
I think that if it's a thing that you're going to have to deal with, therapy is one of those things that can help with it.
Meaning, I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yes.
Because I've got a lot of beats in my head right now. So, meaning that if you're a racist person and you have to deal with a lot of races you don't like, you need therapy, or if you are someone that is experiencing someone that's experiencing a lot of racism around them.
Both.
Okay.
Both are helpful. We are advocates of therapy, is what we're saying.
Therapy is good.
Therapy is
the
good.
right therapist. Yeah.
Yeah, wrong therapist and you get Hannibal Lecter or something. We don't want that.
You get fed beats.
Oh, that's worse.
So you kind of agree that it is a mental health issue.
It can. It's the certainty of the statement that I think bothers me. Yes, it can be. If you're going through a lot of racial turmoil at work, household, family members, then yes, therapy can in fact be very helpful for you. Is it just in general? Again, therapists would say yes, but I think the idea is that we deal with a lot of shit all the time. And so Is all of it in need of a therapist? Again, some people would say yes, some people would say no, you can handle some things. So I'm not against the statement, I just think the certainty of it is, I think that's what I disagree with. So yes, if you're someone that is dealing with workplace racism or in an interracial relationship and your in-laws or family are racist, or if you like, there's a lot of instances where dealing with constant trauma, then yes, you're going to need to, and it would be good if you got therapy. If you are a racist, do you need therapy to not be a racist? That is the question that is interesting, and I think the answer is that it can help if you are trying to not be racist. If you recognize that your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents are racist and you have a lot of those tendencies and are working to not, but it slips out every once in a while, therapy would be great for you.
Again, the right therapist, right?
The right therapist.
Because you might get a racist therapist. Like
right?
you have, like,
and they're like, no, the things you're thinking are absolutely right. You don't want that person, right? So if you were trying, then yes, therapy can help. If you think you're low-grade racist, but like,
low-grade, I'm really low-grade.
I'm low-grade racist, just sort of. You know, right? Then I just don't know if therapy is going to be, one, a thing that you want to do. Like, I don't know if that is necessarily...
Okay, let's come up with, so let's say someone is, because if someone's a full-on racist, I think that there needs to be more of an intervention, like help. Okay, but if you're a low-grade racist.
Low-grade racist.
I love that terminology. If you're a low-grade racist and you do want to, but you've got these mindsets that you were inundated with.
They're
from
automatic.
Family, from media, from books, like, you know.
Yep.
Right? I think everybody has some stuff that we get about other races around the world. So if someone's a low-grade racist and they want to change, what are some of the things that they can do?
It's a great question. I have all of the answers. And by that I mean none of the answers. There's a couple things. So we talked about a lot. Did we talk about the TV show?
I don't know. What TV show?
Okay, it's a great TV show that's similar to... Did we talk about the Not Wife Swap TV show?
Yes. I mean, maybe during a live, but just reference it really quick.
If you missed a live, then you didn't get to see it. So there was this show. We'll have the producers look it up.
Is it Not Wife Swap?
I don't think it was Wife Swap, but it might have been. I felt like it was a guy. It does not matter. Anyway.
It's probably Wife Swap, and then they just did a different
maybe.
thing. Sometimes they do that. Anyways, it was a swap of some kind.
They swapped. And there was a white guy and his family, and they moved, I believe, a black guy to that family. And they moved his wife, maybe it was wife swap, but it was just, anyway.
So I bet they swapped the husbands. So the white guy went to the black family, and the black guy went to the white family?
No, because this was the two guys that got closer.
Oh.
So a guy got swapped into a house with, anyways, some swapping happened. That's all I'm saying. So when the swap happened, the white guy and his family were full-on racists. But apparently getting paid was enough to have someone in their house that they didn't agree with. And so there were interviews at the beginning, and you could hear like the little kids saying stuff that was like horrific about what they thought about this black person that was going to come move in. And I don't remember how long it was or anything like that, but and so I remember that the white family took this black person to like a picnic, like a community picnic in their racist town, rebel flags all over the place, and the interview with the black guy was like, I know I said I'd do this, so but I was really uncomfortable the whole time. People were looking at me weird. It was just really strange, the whole thing. But, long story short, at the end, this particular family all got along great. And the guy, the white guy that got interviewed at the end of it, said, this was eye-opening. Like, all the things that I thought about black people, I did not see at all. He was just us, like, and it just really changed. And apparently, those little stories have the blurb at the end. They're like, they're still friends today or whatever. Like, it was one of those. And so I think all that to say, the answer I think can be exposure. I know a lot of people who have, in fact, I have two or three people that I know specifically who had interracial relationships that their parents disagreed with, weren't happy that a child came out of that. But the exposure to the child and this other person changed all of that. Oh, they love that child so much now, right? And so I think exposure a lot of the time is really the thing that you need, because most of the time, I'm only saying most because I don't like certainty, but as far as I can tell, every time that I've ever seen, the things that we think about a different race or a community are wrong. They come from weird instances, or one example that you saw, or something your grandma said once or whatever. And so these things that we think about groups of people, and so when we hang out with those groups of people, we can see like, oh, I can't tell you how many white people, when I was in the military in particular, would ask me questions, and I would think, why the hell do you think that's something? I had a white guy ask, do black people brush their teeth, or like are your teeth just naturally like, because they're just like whiter than, I just assume they're just all. So let me stop you. You thought maybe black people didn't brush their teeth, like we just naturally just had great teeth. You think there's a thing?
That would be amazing.
Would it be? I'll take it. And he was like, well, yeah, but you could tell when I asked him, he was like, okay, I see how silly that might seem, but it was a real thing that he had in his head that he just thought, right? And so it took asking someone, talking to them, some exposure. That's a stupid example. It's a stupid example, but it was a real one. Yeah. Right? And so I think that exposure can help, right? So if you're feeling a certain way about a group of people, go hang out with them. Yeah. Maybe don't hang out with the specific, like if you're like, I only know a particular group of people, and it's because those three people were doing a thing. Maybe don't go hang out with those three. Go find some more. But
and also, I think the idea that like a race of people are all the same.
Well, there are people who believe that there are only 12 personalities thanks to the zodiac. So it's not a far-fetched thing.
Yeah. Well, but within those 12, there's a lot of.
There's a lot of.
But like, I think, don't you think that's the
now I'm gonna get people who are like, black people don't believe in the zodiac. We do. We really do.
But I mean, I don't know. I think you're right. Exposure. Like, if you grow up in a very white town, a very white state, and all you see is movies portraying black people as criminals. Yep. The news only portraying black people as criminals. Like, if you or in protests, and the news that you're watching is not showing everything, so they're only showing the looters at the end of the protest rather than the hours of peaceful protest. Like, right. If you're only seeing bits and parts of really bad things and you have absolutely no other exposure. Yep. So exposure, these conversations, widening your group of friends, widening your group of where you get your news.
And it works the other way. Like again, it's exposure. I have black family members that just assume that all white people just have a shit ton of money. Just an assumption. They're like, what? We think I'm white? Because I asked to borrow $20? No, why do you think that? It's just because they think that, all white people have a leg up. They all have now. All white people have a leg up. We talked about that already, right? Yeah. But how far does that go? It depends on a lot of your own familial background and things that you've got, right? Generational wealth is a term for a reason. Generational, right? So if you came from a generation of poor folks, odds are good you're poor, whether you're black or white or whatever, right? Yeah. But a lot of black people don't know that. They don't think that. They assume that if you're white, you're going to be just totally successful. You got an IRA and all kinds of savings and good credit. Like, all of these are some beliefs that it just takes some exposure, and sometimes just a little bit of exposure, to see that those things are not true at all.
And education and history. And I will say, so my dad grew up, not my mom, but my dad grew up in pretty poor, but white, in Canada. but was able to, because he was smart, but also because he was white, able to go to like back then you could go to teachers college for like a year and become a teacher. He later went back and got his master's. But the thing is like he had probably a much easy back then.
Yep.
Like right, had much easier time of getting a job,
Yeah.
of getting accepted into college, of whatever things that he wanted to do. He had a much easier time, though maybe started out around the same, money level as someone else, but because he was white, he did have that access that's really sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is like, and anyway. So it's still.
I mean, there are a ton of studies that talk about this, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I could quote it exactly, but so roughly, there was a thing that talked about. I can't remember what the career was. Oh no, it was medical treatment between blacks and whites, and it was only talking about blacks and whites in general. And it said, in a nutshell, rich white people got the best medical care, even at the same. We're talking about the same sort of places, right? So we're not talking about private hospital versus poor hospital someplace. Like we're talking in the same places. And so rich white people got the best care. No, not rich. Highly educated white people got the best care. Highly educated black people got worse care than definitely undereducated white people. And so it's not just, it's like that. It's not about, oh, well, educated people have better questions so they can ask the doctor, things like that.
No.
That's not it, because black people also have that. The highly educated black people also have those same questions, and
Right.
still, and one of the instances they said was that it's a matter of trust. The doctor, if a well-off or even a poor white person asks them a question, oh, it hurts when my knee does this thing. Doctors are more likely to listen to them and to address it. Even highly educated black people, apparently, if they say, oh, I'm having this thing, that thing gets dismissed. And so they found that they were getting worse care even than poorer, undereducated. So I just found that there are still those biases that are out there. They're very true. But those are systemic, not necessarily the people themselves.
There's also a study about, I think, more black women dying in childbirth or having complications in childbirth because they're not getting the same care that white women are.
Yeah. I can't remember what the movie was. It was a while back, 20 years ago. It wasn't a Medea thing, because I don't watch those either. But it was something that was predominantly black. It wasn't even all black, but it was a predominantly black cast. We're movie friends. Like, we go to see movies all the time. And I said, I wish I knew what the movie was. I was like, hey, are you going to go see this movie? And he goes, I don't really watch black movies. I go, oh.
Wow.
Why? He's like, I can't associate with them. I was like, okay. Being associated with Die Hard somehow? Like, you
And
going
also
through events, stopping terrorists? Like, what?
and he's associating with you. 'Cause
Right.
You're his friend.
But
So-
apparently, there's a thing that's just too far outside of his comfort zone, right?
Oh.
I know a lot of white people that haven't seen any films that are predominantly black, unless it's about, like, I have a lot of white friends I've seen 12 Years a Slave, because that's like a social commentary thing.
Right.
But if it's just black people walking around doing just adventures or whatever,
Adventures.
no, like
Yeah.
they haven't seen it, and you ask why, they're just like, oh, and then right then, at least my friends, they know they're wrong, right? They go, oh, I just, I just I don't like Taraji P. Henson or whatever. Like they just like there's no real thing. So
Wow.
I've been fascinated about this sort of since then and how long it would change now. All my white friends, they love some Wakanda. Am I right? Like we know we can do that all day.
Yeah. The Woman King.
Oh, the Woman King was so good.
But I didn't even think of that as a black movie. Obviously, there's only one white person. I
A
just
lot
thought
of
of
my
it
white
as
friends
a
would have thought of it
female.
as a black movie.
See, but I thought of it as a woman movie. That's how my mom and I, like, it was just so
I mean, it's right there
empowering
in the
as women.
title.
Yeah, the woman king.